Hey guys, today I want to show you guys the differences between two guitar speakers. So right now this is my Milkman 1 watt plus amp. It's very similar to a Fender style amp, which means it's kind of in between a tweed and a blonde, I guess, in terms of the tone. So yeah, it's a relatively clean sounding amp that kind of doesn't break up until you basically try to dime it. But right now it's running a Celestion Alnico Blue speaker, and the Celestion Alnico Blue, let me show you guys, it's a very legendary speaker. So if I turn this amp around, I'll show you guys the Celestion Alnico Blue speaker, the legendary Celestion Alnico Blue, as you guys can see here. This speaker was, I think, one of the first. It was either the first or one of the very first guitar speakers ever manufactured, like specifically for a guitar amp. And basically Celestion, the UK company that makes a very famous UK guitar speaker company, yeah, when they made this, I think this was their first guitar speaker. They took one of their PA speakers and radio speakers, I think, and they just converted it to a guitar speaker. Anyways, this is a very famous speaker because it was used by a lot of British guitarists, actually, especially in the 60s and 70s. I would say in particular the Beatles, because they used anyone who uses a Vox amp, basically, but the Beatles used Vox amps that used Alnico Blue. And later on, guitarists like Brian May from Queen plays a Vox, has a Celestion Alnico Blue in it. Anyways, this speaker is pretty legendary. It's used by a lot of British guitarists, especially those who use Vox amps. And this speaker in particular, it's fairly expensive, I would say. It's like a $300 speaker, and it's, yeah, really the design has remained unchanged since the 1940s, and I would say the biggest thing that this speaker gives is a lot of mid-range, and it's a very loud speaker. So while I do like this speaker, it's really got a classic tone to it. I did want to try something a bit different, so that's why I got the Jensen P12Q. This is an Alnico Jensen speaker, made in Italy, actually, because these days Jensen is all made in Italy, I think. But Jensen is also a very historic guitar company because they were the first speakers used in Fender guitar amplifiers. And usually Jensen speakers have a more cleaner tone, I guess, in general, that doesn't break up as much as Celestion speakers do, which means that for cleaner guitar playing, I would say Jensen I think might be a little bit better, whereas Celestion tends to break up more and be more of like a rock type of sound, very heavy mid-range rock type of sound. I'm speaking generally, of course. These are both historic guitar speakers. The Celestion Alnico Blue is more expensive. It's like $300. The Jensen P12Q is about $150. It's like half of that. Both are Alnico designs, but they're very different in terms of their tone and signature. And I want to show you guys in this video what that difference is, because I really do think that guitar speakers are one of the most important parts of your tone, basically a guitar player's tone. A lot of people sleep on it. Basically, a guitar speaker is to an amp what a guitar pickup is to an electric guitar. It's really the main sound of the amp. Like, if you change out the speaker, it totally changes the sound, right? If you guys don't believe me, then have a listen to this video. Basically, that's what I'm about to show you guys. So yeah, the Celestion Alnico Blue loudspeaker, very heavy mid-range, very good for that traditional classic rock sound. Whereas the Jensen P12Q, which I will install a little bit later, this has a more cleaner sound. It's not as loud, but I think it's better for those cleaner tones. So yeah, two different types of tones. They're both good. Let's check out the Alnico Blue first. This is what I have installed in my amp for the past few years since I got it. All right. Alright guys, and for my guitar, I'll be using a G&L ASOT Special. So this guitar uses special magnetic field design pickups, which I would say the tone is in between P90 and a Jazzmaster. So that's basically what these fat single coils essentially would sound like. They're relatively noiseless, but they're also fairly high output for a single coil. So yeah, somewhere between a P90 and a Jazzmaster type of single coil sound, so relatively fat. Alright, so we'll be playing some clean tones and some overdriven tones on both of these speakers, and I'll be using the same settings basically for the amp. So volume at 6, treble at 6, bass at 6. This has a power attenuator. I'll just keep it probably turned to about about here, almost halfway. And for the pedals, I have a Boss RC5 looper pedal for both of these, the backing tracks. For the clean sound, I'll also be using a Fender Marine Layer reverb. And then for the overdriven sound, I'll be using a Wampler Euphoria overdrive pedal with pretty much all the controls turned to about 12 o'clock and the setting at smooth, which is supposed to be more of a Dumble type of tone. So that's for the overdriven. And the clean sound, I'll be using the Fender Marine Layer reverb. All right. So yeah, let's check it out. For the Fender Marine Layer reverb, I'll be using the room setting with the pre-delay just a little bit. I don't want to, like, you know, mask too much of the tone or anything, so I'm just going to add a little bit of pre-delay, reverb time, damping level, just turn to about maybe 10. Setting, obviously, I'm going to do one variation and filter off. Yeah, just to add some ambience to the tone. So yeah, first we have the Celestion Alnico Blue inside the amp right now. So right now that's what you're hearing. As you can hear, it's quite loud and has a very prominent mid-range and low end actually. Yeah, quite a beefy low end I would say, and has a chimey top end that people expect from an Alnico Blue. It's quite loud. It has quite a prominent mid-range, I would say. present, like very forward. You see very forward mids. Very forward mids on the Alnico Blues. Okay, so now let's play a track here, and I'm going to turn on the reverb. Okay. Play for a few overdrive pedal to get the overdrive sound, which I think is, I personally believe the Alnico Blues are very suited for the overdrive sound more. This is the overdriven sound. Classic rock bands from the, from the UK in the 60s and 70s, especially through the Vox AC30s. That's that creamy, overdriven tone feel from the Alnico Blue. So anyways, let's play the backtrack. Sensitive. which I think is very like, yeah, you can get that really nice creamy distortion, overdrive, and a lot of crunch out of the Alnico Blues. So I really think this is the Alnico Blue strong point. The mid-range, you know, very push forward, and the low end in the sparkly, like jangly highs, I would say. This is really the strength of the Alnico Blues. So yeah, it does really well on overdrive. It's really that classic rock sound. All right, so now we're gonna put in the Jensens, and then we're gonna do a comparison. All right. So yeah, both of these Alnico speakers, both 12-inch, and yeah, like I would say this is a very good comparison because they're both very different. Very good, both very good speakers, but in different ways. Okay, so now I'm gonna change out the guitar speaker in here from the Celestion Alnico Blue to the Jensen P12Q, like I said. The reason why I want to do that is because while the Celestion Alnico Blue is a very good speaker, as you have heard, I kind of prefer to have a more cleaner type of sound. Although, like I said, it does do cleans quite well, but I do want to have, let's see, more headroom. Yeah, so I would say this. The Jensen, I think, has more headroom, and I'll show you guys what that really means. And the Alnico Blue is more meant for overdriven type of sound because it doesn't have as much headroom, so it breaks up more easily. And while I really do like the overdriven tone on the Alnico Blues, but for me, I actually play more clean, I guess, most of the time. Like, I like to play a lot of jazz and type of, like, that kind of stuff. Yeah, sometimes I play like rock riffs and bluesy stuff, but in general, I don't really play things that are really high gain. I tend to stick to more clean stuff, cleaner instrumentals or jazzy stuff, that kind of thing. So that's why I'm changing it out. So you just have to remove the back panel of the Milkman. I'm going to use the right Phillips screw for this. We just have to remove the back panel here to change out these speakers. Now, I have never changed out the speakers on the Milkman. I have changed out the speakers on one of my first amps, which is a Trainer YCB20. That's a Canadian amp, by the way. I changed out the stock speakers on that for a Celestion Alnico Blue, believe it or not, ironically. But now I'm getting rid of a Celestion Alnico Blue to change out to a Jensen, so it's ironic, but yeah, this is actually the first time I'm changing out the speakers on this amp. And Milkman amp, by the way, it's kind of a boutique maker. They're based in San Francisco. That's part of the reason why I got one, is because at the time I lived in San Francisco, I can easily get it serviced. And I did get it serviced, actually, because there was a issue with, I think with a fuse or something like that. There was an issue with the amp before, and I took it directly to the guy who made the amp to fix it for me. And it was quite easy because it's hand wired. So that's a benefit of having a boutique builder who hand wires your amp, because he can fix it quite easily. I just brought it over to him in San Francisco, to his warehouse. It was all under warranty and stuff, so I didn't have to pay a dime. And yeah, he just found out the problem pretty easily and just, yeah, soldered a fix basically, because it wasn't nothing printed on a circuit board. So all you had to do is kind of solder some things up. And that was it. Really. Okay, that was actually a lot of work. All right, so let's remove the panels. Whoops. All right, now we can really see the back of the speaker here. So there it is, the Celestion G12 Alnico Blue speaker. And let's see, Tim Marcus, who's the guy who built this amp, I can see he used pretty high quality mercury magnetics transformers here. He uses, these are Ruby 6v6 tubes, and he has a 5Y3 rectifier tube right here. And I think, oh, here it is, yeah. This is a 112AX7 right here preamp tube. So yeah, 112AX7 2636. Yeah, 112AX7 preamp tube, 2636 power tubes, one 5Y3 rectifier tube. That's what I can see here, and they're made by Ruby, which is interesting. I don't know if I heard of that company before. Yeah, they're made by Ruby. I wonder if I can change, maybe someday I'll change these tubes out, because they do have an effect on the sound. Yeah, maybe like I can experiment around with some JJ tubes, or Tungsol, or Sovtech. Yeah, groove tubes, like anything. I can experiment around with different tubes, maybe later on someday. But for now, I think these are fine. The tubes do affect the sound of an amp, but not as much as the speaker. The speaker affects it way more. So that's part of the reason I think this is the first change I wanted to make. So it's called the G12 because it's a 12-inch speaker. So we're going to replace it with the Jensen P12Q. It's called P12 because it's also a 12-inch speaker. So yeah, of course, going to replace it with the same size speaker. And technically, I think it fits better because this is a, Celestion is a British brand, so it fits better with British amps in my opinion. Jensen, originally American, and now it's made in Italy, but originally an American brand. So of course it's more of a Fender style amp, more of an American style amp. So, and it's made in America, so I think it would fit better, a bit more with the Jensens. Speaker out here, it's as simple as, yeah, as simple as just pulling out the speaker connectors here. There. Just push off the speaker connectors, and then we're going to unscrew the screws here. It's holding the speaker to the cabinet. Simple. Really, this doesn't, changing out a speaker actually, if you get good enough, it doesn't take more than a few minutes actually. It's pretty easy. I'm not counting the time it takes to install this back panel though. This back panel is, that's kind of a pain to install. So anyways, there, that's the Celestion G12 Alnico Blues out. Very heavy speaker actually. So I think this adds substantially to the weight of this amp. So this is going to be a much lighter speaker. I think it's like half the weight, the Jensen P12Qs. So definitely it's going to reduce the weight. So we'll put the Alnico Blues here, be heavy. Then I'm going to put the Jensens here. These ones I think will definitely give a maybe more richer cleans, I would say. But it won't give that pronounced mid-range and low end that the Alnico Blue is famous for. Yeah, same thing, just screw speaker on here. Connect the connectors back on. All right, and pretty much good to go here. You guys can see the speaker inside the amp. Okay. All right, now I'm connected back up. All right, so this is the Jensen P12Q. You guys can hear the cleans. So yeah, I think overall not quite as loud as the Alnico Blues. It's a more polite speaker. It's really good for cleans. You can hear some rich, very layered. And cleans I think are very rich and layered on the speaker. why Fender used these in their amps, because it really pairs well with their Fender Fender amps. And I have 6v6 tubes in here, so yeah, basically it's a Fender amp, so I think it'll pair pretty well. Low end is also not quite as pronounced as on the Alnico Blues, and the highs not quite as jangly or chimey, but they definitely sound more glassy, if that makes sense, on these speakers. More rich, layered, and glassy rather than just the chimey, jangly highs from the Celestians. So yeah, I really like the cleans on this. I think that's really the strength of the Jensens, is the cleans. Yeah, as you guys can hear, the Jensens don't have as much of a bottom end or a very forward mid-range like the Celestians do, but definitely you get a bit more sparkly, I guess, high end out of it. So yeah, I can hear a bit more clarity and sparkle in the high end, but not as much low end, and definitely not as forward of a mid-range. So I would say those are pretty notable differences between the two. So yeah, let's play the clean track again. I'm going to turn on my marine layer reverb again. Same settings for everything, of course. Alright. tone. Yeah, so overall, I feel like the Jensen P12Qs, they're definitely, I think, better for cleans, at least in my opinion. Yeah, they're very rich, layered cleans. Yeah. Just more of a polite speaker. It doesn't overdrive or break up as easily as the Celestion Alnico Blues. So I think for jazz and maybe for some like mellow blues or mellow rock, that type of thing, the Jensen P12Qs are really nice. They're very vintage, right? Whereas the Celestion Alnico Blues, I think better for the overdriven type of sound. I mean, it can do cleans well as well. Personally, I feel like the Jensens give a bit more headroom, right? Before they start to break up. Whereas the Alnico Blues will start to break up fairly easily, I'd say. Then you can easily go into the overdriven sound with them, and the overdrive sound on the Alnico Blues sound very creamy, and you get that, like, yeah, really nice forward mid-range out of it. So it's definitely better for the classic rock stuff. Whereas the Jensens, yeah, just really nice. See, these rich cleans out of it. So yeah, they're just both good speakers, but for different types of sounds. That's really it. Difference: the Celestians are more expensive and they're heavier, but yeah, definitely just a different sound, I think. I don't think one speaker is necessarily better than the other. Just different strengths and weaknesses. So that's it, guys. That is my comparison of the Celestion Alnico Blues versus the Jensen P12Qs. Let me know which ones you prefer. Now my next upgrade might be the tubes. I don't know, might go for JJ tubes or Softtech or Tungsol, Electro Harmonics. There's a lot of different tube makers out there. But for sure, I think speakers make a very big difference in the amp, and probably I would say is the main thing that you might want to change out if you want to change the sound of your amp. So that's it, guys. Let me know, which speaker you prefer and what you guys think. And as always, thanks for watching.